Yo, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. My guest today is the mighty Mark Williams. A lot of you have most likely heard Mark's smash hit, Show No Mercy, which was a pretty massive hit in the 90s. And he had another big hit in New Zealand in the 70s with Yesterday Was Just the Beginning of My Life. But there's so many other facets to Mark's career. He's a great songwriter. He's been a session singer and a backup vocalist for the likes of Jenny Morris, Ian Moss, and many others. Did you know that he sang the original version of the Home and Away song? For the last 18 years, Mark has been the lead singer of Dragon, which he was asked to join in 2006. Now, after 50 years in the music industry, Mark has come full circle and a half. And to celebrate his mighty career, he's putting on a show on November 28th at the Bridge Hotel in Rozelle called Mark Williams Now and Then. Mark's daughter, Taylor B.W., is the support act, doing her own set of pop R&B and drum and bass. Check out the links in this episode's show notes and get on down to hear some magic. Right, I hope you enjoy listening to this korero or conversation as much as I did. This is episode 151. Mark Williams, here we go. I think we're rolling. Kia ora, Mark Williams.
Kia ora, Stevie.
How's it going?
Really well.
Good. Thank you for having me at your house.
Oh, you're welcome.
Another Marrickville disciple. I tend to come here a lot.
You do?
It's the real
hub,
the real musical hub of Sydney.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean a lot. Yeah. Everyone's here.
Yeah. I came here like in 1980.
Yep.
And we were looking for a place to buy, and we ended up the Marrickville Maulers place. I think they were selling. They were one of the people that were selling.
Yeah, right.
You know, what's his name?
Fennick.
Fennick, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was at his parents' place.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and I think he was there too. It was back then.
Right.
That was one of the houses, because I've still got this really clear picture of. That was him. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, he was one of the places, but we ended up here.
Yeah, right.
We got this place.
How long have you been in this place?
81.
Oh, this place, 81. Wow.
Yeah. And it was a shithole.
Yeah, right.
Back then, it was nice. Rough as.
It's not nice now.
Well, the area was rough.
The whole, yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it was shocking.
Because you had, I remember when I came to Australia in the mid-90s, there was some quite big Marrickville gangs around.
Oh, quite.
I'm just trying to think of what the name of the gang was. But yeah, from being out west, people said don't come to Marrickville.
No, it had a really bad reputation even from the 60s. I've learned from people who came here in the 60s that it was a big drug cartel thing going on here or something like that. But I remember coming here in the 75 or 76, something like that. I lasted 2 weeks in Sydney and hated it. So I went back home. But the thing was, I was staying in Rozelle, and they were pointing over that way out the window, saying, "Don't go over there," which was Marrickville.
Yeah, right.
Back then, so
right.
And then there's this place called Lazy Bones down here.
Yeah, Lazy Bones.
Yeah, it's
been
really
there many
cool.
times.
Yeah, and it was going back then. Yeah. It was going there. And when I was in this band called, it was with Ron Barry. We used to work at the Mansell Room years ago. And we got a couple of gigs down there because we were a funk band back then. And so we got a couple of gigs down there, and it was still in that room.
Yeah, right.
It was back in that room. It was to be the early 80s or, late 70s, early 80s.
Right. And has Craig always had that room? I don't know the history.
Got no idea.
Yeah, okay.
Because
Craig's the guy that runs it.
Yeah,
I might find that out.
Yeah, I don't actually know. And I'm no, it was run by it looked like it was the local Greek community.
Okay.
I think from memory, really dark. All I know is driving up Illawarra Road and being really spooked because I lived in Rose Bay.
Yeah, right.
I'd never been this side of town.
Yeah.
So I'm driving up Illawarra Road, and it's like really small and like dark and dingy, and I was wondering who's going to come out, run out, and attack me. Because that happened to Wellsford once back home.
Right.
I'm driving home to Dargaville through Auckland in the middle of the night, and these guys one guy came out and tried to pull me down, Wellsford, and I went, oh, something's wrong with them, so I slowed right down, and next out from everywhere came these bloody hories. And I zoomed up. Anyway, I thought something like that was going to happen.
You got away.
I got away, yeah. But, I thought that was what it was like down here.
Right.
Mind you, when I lived here, when I first came here, it was sort of like Greek and Lebanese, and they were really intimidating because we were outsiders and we were coming here and we weren't Greek and we weren't, they were kind of intimidating. The boys and that would sort of yell out, not obscenities, but just like,
right.
Kind of intimidate. One day I had a dog here, and I was upstairs, and I came downstairs, and I didn't even know. Somebody had jumped over, broken in the door, through the dog door there, and was face to face with me. I said, shit. What are you doing in here? And he looked at the dog, he said, your dog. And I said, don't bullshit me. He actually got spooked, and I sort of followed him outside, back around. Another guy was coming in, but he jumped back over the fence. I managed to scare them away. It never, ever happened again.
Right.
But because I think it wasn't out of fear. I was actually angry. I was actually wild that somebody had the audacity to come in the house. So I think the hairs on my back were showing, and it actually freaked them out.
Mm.
But at the same time,
it's funny how the fight and flight responses can change depending on the situation, right? Because you just said that when you were back home and your first reaction was to take off in the car.
Yeah.
And so that's your flight. But then here it's fight time, man.
Yeah, I was confronted.
Yeah, right.
And I'm a weakling. But I was so shocked that they would
how dare they?
Dare they come to my house that I must have put on this brutish, aura.
Right.
Anyway, I followed them, chased them around down the side there, out, down there, into the car, and they zoomed off. And I said, don't come back.
Don't come back. Yeah. You know who I am.
But then again, like in the same year or a couple of years later, boom, a car gets bombed down here. A lot of cars used to get
in this little alleyway.
Little alleyway,
Okay.
Yeah. It's a scary alleyway,
right?
But you get used to it. It's not anymore. Right. It's like gentrified.
Yeah, right. So when did you start to notice the change?
5 years ago.
Okay,
5 or
just
6. It wasn't
not that long ago.
No, it wasn't. These people that advised us, and also because I was a musician, I couldn't get a loan back then. They wouldn't believe me. So my partner, Pam, she worked for solicitors in the city, and they would guarantee for me. So we got a loan.
Right.
We were looking in Bondi and all that, and I just shy about 10 grand to go and get a place there for a deposit. And they said, come over here. It's going to be in 5-10 years. It's going to be big.
Yeah.
And so we bought over here. Well, we had to wait 30 years.
Yeah, right.
Or 25 years.
Yeah.
So it was about 25 years after. So 95 to early noughties.
Yep.
It started to change slowly. Mm-hmm. And it went through a lot of metamorphoses. It morphed. It morphed. You had the really loud Lebanese coming past. This was the high school down there. Really loud guys. And then you had, then a couple of years later, there's all these islanders and they're all singing and they're all, and it was around the early 90s and they all knew me. So they'd be screaming and yahooing outside the house,
Yep.
And then it changed. Then it slowly started to change to Asian. But there's always been a Greek element here.
Yeah, okay.
And I now feel like I'm very much part of this community.
That's great.
I feel really, I love this community so much.
That's cool, yeah.
And it's really good. So it started changing. We became Asian. So it's this really multicultural kind of thing. Yep. Melting pot. And even islanders are in this area too, their churches are here. It's lovely. I love it. And now there's a whole musical hub being developed down the road.
Yep.
So you're right. It is a place to go. You come here often.
I do, yeah.
Because a lot of us live here.
Yeah.
A lot of artists, a lot of gypsies. People who are just that side of the, of the mainstream.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I understand. So you've got a congratulations on 50 years, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. It's massive.
Yeah.
Massive. So you're putting on a show, and we'll go into more detail a little bit later on, but you're putting on a show at the end of November to celebrate 50 years in the music industry.
23rd.
Yeah.
23rd November.
23rd. And I'll post all the links and all that sort of stuff. We'll go into a bit more detail, but I just wanted to say congratulations on the 50 years. And
I never actually, it didn't even occur to me until we were doing 50 years with Dragon. Yeah. And it didn't even occur to me that I've been in this long. Yeah. I just didn't.
Yep.
Then we're back in New Zealand. Then suddenly I get a chance to sing some of our old songs when I'm back in New Zealand. So
I was going to ask that question a little bit later too. Since you're in Dragon, when you go home, do you get to sing some of your stuff with Dragon?
I do. I don't. I do it acoustically because I don't want to put it on the band to do my shit. I don't know. But I'm quite happy to do it acoustically. But this last time we went back 50 years of Dragon, it was a hugely successful gig.
Yep.
Early this year, hugely successful. And then I'm singing, and then about halfway through the tour, I'm going, hang on, this song I'm singing is 50 years next year that I recorded it.
Yeah.
That's when I've sort of realised I've been in here this long.
Yeah. we were talking just before we hit record about that sort of heady days of the 80s and, the excesses of stuff. And you said the reason why you're still here is you couldn't afford it back then. And whereas the other people that did have money, and I quote you said they're not knocking on heaven's door. But you looking at your hair, you do not look 70.
Oh, well. So, thank you.
Absolutely not. You look fit. You look, definitely not 70.
So I've been through the ringer, but thank you very much. Thank you.
No worries.
But it is true. I was very broke. I've been broke all my life, basically.
Right.
And I probably, thank God I have been.
Right.
Right. Touch wood.
Yeah. And, there's been, sort of that I'm aware of, the different phases of your career that, myself being from New Zealand, I remember back in the very early 80s, even maybe late 70s, because like I said to you, I was born in 1975, so, you don't remember too much the first bunch of years, but I remember your song Yesterday was just the beginning of your life getting played on the radios.
Yes.
I remember that. I knew your name, I didn't know what you looked like. And then, so there was that aspect, and then you came back onto my periphery in the 90s with your big hit Show No Mercy.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, then you were very sort of visual on things like Hey It's Saturday, and so I would see you all the time and hear you, and you're on the radio and all that sort of stuff. And then the next sort of incarnation was Dragon.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And then now we're back to Mark Williams.
Yeah. And Dragon, of
course. But back to Mark Williams.
Yeah.
The solo artist.
Yeah, I never envisaged that.
Yeah.
Because I was really happy. To me, it was like I'd gone full circle. I've always loved being in a band, always.
Yep.
And I started in a band at high school.
Yeah.
With Willie Hunter, Mac Tane, Greg Finlay, Face. And
Willie passed away not too long ago, right? Yep.
Yeah, in June. Yeah, absolutely. I'd arranged to go and see him.
Okay.
And I got back and he couldn't see me. So, it wasn't long after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes, he passed away. Very sad. It was us. We were a very tight little unit that basically started at high school, and we made a name for ourselves around Northland area.
Dargaville, to be specific.
Dargaville, yes. Yep. Dargaville, Kaikohe, Kaukoa, Kaitaia, Whangarei.
Yep, Northland.
Northland, just total Northland, out in the bush there. We used to put on our own shows, and go to a hall. I don't know how people found out, but it was like 2 shillings. I don't know, but locals did find out.
Right.
All the kids, and they used to come. But we used to do that every weekend, so we didn't do much school.
Right. Okay.
And my mother was a bit of a party animal. So when we used to come back to Dargaville in the middle of the night, there was a huge party going on at home.
Right.
Everybody's singing and everything like that. So
don't worry about your homework, son.
No.
Here's the microphone. Here's a guitar. Good stuff. So let's just go back a little bit earlier than that, before the high school stuff. So born and raised Dargaville, Northland, we've established that. So when did music first sort of come into your periphery? And was it an artist? Was it a band? Was it a family member? Or was it just a feeling?
Oh, it's just a feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it started. Oh, boy, I can remember it. I can remember wanting to perform when I was like about 4 or 5. I don't know why. I don't know how. All I know is that I had learned, my mum used to play piano all by ear, and I used to watch her, and then suddenly I wanted to play that piano. And I still don't know how to play properly, but I learned something. I used to watch her and then go and play and teach myself. And at I was about 5 years old, I played at the local primary school concert. That was my first gig ever. And I was about 5. And I'd only just gone started primary school, and they had, and Miss Ballantyne was my teacher, and she used to be a beautiful blonde lady who used to who did the hula that night. It was really daggy. I remember, but we loved her. I loved her anyway.
Yeah.
She was this parky hard trying to do a hula. You can imagine that?
Right.
But she was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Miss Ballantyne. I'll never forget.
Yep.
Anyway, she encouraged me to go and do that, to play.
Do you remember what the song was?
Yes, the Queen's March.
Okay, right, okay.
Dun ba dun 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 da da dun 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 bow 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 ba dum bow 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 ba dum bum. That's what I played.
Awesome.
Not really. Well, I think I did it pretty well for a 5-year-old.
Right.
Unfortunately, we didn't. My parents didn't have the money for me to get lessons or anything like that. So I just sort of. That was the beginning, really. So I went through school, and then we moved from the country, Matakoi, into Dargaville. And it was about 9 or 10 years old, and I saw this old guitar one day on the veranda, and it had about 4 or 5 strings, and I went over and picked it up, and I knew an E.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't know how I knew that. So I must have been watching.
Seen somebody.
Yeah, well, my mum, there used to be big parties to go on, and the singing, I'll never forget the harmonies, and oh God.
Yeah,
all of that. Oh God.
Oh yeah, I've been to those. I know what you're talking about.
The whole house is singing.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. Oh my God, look at this to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I must have been watching. Yep. And listening, and I knew how to play E.
Yep.
And that was the end of it. I would play, and so I'd gone into my early teens, or 12 or 13 or 14 or 14 or something like that. Tapestry came out. Neil Young. I discovered Neil Young playing guitar and all those sort of things. It was him. Tapestry. We used to have albums of Pommy people singing black songs, like Marvin Gaye songs and that. So we listened to that. So that was right through my formative years. Yeah. And when I was about 14, I guess, 14 or 15, our neighbours, who we absolutely loved, the Tanes, they had six in their family. We had 5. And their father bought the boys these instruments. And they were and drums and guitars and bass and amps and that. My God. And I used to listen every night as they, clanged and banged and everything like that. I'd have my window down listening, going, how do I ask them if I can come over and play? It took me months. Months and months. And then they got cocky enough to think that they can do the school social. And by that time, Willie Horner had come down from Rawene, and they'd formed this little band, and I was just listening from my room across the road. And so they played at a social, and it was packed, the high school social. And I used to be in charge of getting those sort of things together. So I I was already in that.
You're already in there, yep.
Yeah, I was already in that sort of entrepreneurial world. Even at intermediate school, they used to let me have a classroom, and I used to bring my own record player and my 45s and put on lunchtime dance, and school. So I was already doing that. But I was so shy.
Yeah.
And it took me all night to actually ask them if I could get up and sing. And I finally did. I knew they were coming up to the second to last song, and if I didn't do it now, I would never do it. Oh my God, that was the hardest thing.
And because you would have known their repertoire.
Yeah, of course I did. I knew.
Yeah.
And I knew they knew Hendrix.
Yeah, right.
And I knew Stone Free.
Yeah.
And I already knew that one.
Yeah. And that was the one.
That's the one. That's
cool, man.
So he started playing.
Yeah.
It was so cool. My knees were falling apart. My knees were like jelly.
Yeah.
My jaw was like loose. A hand couldn't hold the microphone.
Yeah.
It was just shaking like that. And that's happened to me once since, singing in the Opera House, in Sydney Opera House.
Right.
I'm singing a Beatles song, and it's all the lights around me, and I'm standing there, and my hand starts going shaking.
Just gotcha.
And I'm going, oh my God, am I going to get through this song? Anyway, that's horror.
That's the only other time.
It's the only other time.
Wow.
But that night was the main one. Falling apart.
Yeah, right.
But boy, did I love singing.
Yeah.
And I got off and I went, I did it. And they said, do you want to come down to the Marae tomorrow?
Yeah.
We have a jam. And so I was in the band.
Awesome.
Yep. So that's how it started. It started when I was a kid.
Yep. Yep.
It was drive. I was driven.
Right.
Like Willie was. He was already playing the mean guitar, by the time he taught me to play guitar after that.
Okay.
Taught me chords and things like that.
Right.
We used to sleep over and we used to just, talk about instruments all night, really. We were like, 12, 13, 14, 15, around then, around that, we were talking shit.
Yeah. But that's the good shit, though.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so that band, how sort of far did that band sort of go?
Once we hit the Auckland, we did really well.
Yeah, okay.
We came third in the Battle of the Bands up in Northland.
Right.
And so the busloads came down to the national finals.
Oh, cool.
Busloads of kids came down to support us.
Right.
I think we got second. We got second, but it was enough. We did such a show because we're not Mrs. Tane, Wally Tane and Margaret Tane, they were the people next door, and they're the ones responsible for me.
Right.
Even my mum and dad, bowed to them. They're the ones. She made us our outfits. She would. Wally would drive us to all these gigs on the weekends. We bought an old van, painted it green, and wrote this face on it.
Yeah. Oh, that was the name of your band, right? Face?
Yeah, Face. Face was the name of the band, yeah. So we had this big green van with Face, done in, in the 60s kind of look.
Gotcha, yep.
Yeah. And we drove, and Wally would drive us every weekend, and they'd look after the money and, whatever. And Margaret would make our clothes, especially for the grand final.
Right.
So we came second, but there was a guy that the MC was Lou Prime.
Right.
And Lou Prime took over a big agency the following year, and he told Margaret Tane and us that he wanted us to come down. When we decided to come down, go and see him. So we did. The following year, we all left together in the van.
So you packed up?
We packed up.
Left Dargaville?
Left Dargaville.
Okay.
That was the last, that's when I was 18.
Yep.
And we all left Dargaville. I never went back. Although I go back.
Yeah, I understand. Yep.
But I never went back. And we went down to Auckland and joined up with this agent. It wasn't easy going.
Yep.
We struggled. We had no money.
Yep.
We didn't get many gigs, but we did get people who wanted to look after us, and there was this Islander guy, Fritz Frost, I think, down in Otahu Community Centre. He used to put on this community, these evenings, social evenings, Friday and Saturday for the kids in the community centre down there in Otahu, or Tahu.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did that once, and he wanted us every weekend.
Yeah, right.
Because it was rough as, but it was such a good vibe. All the kids come down and play, dance and all that.
What kind of music were you playing?
Oh, once again, we tried to sort of write our own stuff. It was We were kind of influenced though by the early metal.
Yeah.
Hendrix, most definitely. Willie was always, inspired by country as well. So we were sort of like a 60-40 band,
Gotcha.
70-30 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We're kind of like, we did everything.
Yeah.
Plus we just throw in a couple of our own songs in there. So that's how we sort of got started down in Auckland. But that still, they gave us $25 to do each night, and our rent was $20 a week.
Right. So $25 as a band?
As a band.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get $5.
So, of course, we had to go and pinch bread from the dyer.
Right.
When it arrived, we'd be hiding around the corner so we can get the bread, and we'd go and pick puha,
Yep.
in Ponsonby, or Jervis Bay. We used to go down to the mud flats.
Yep.
See if we get some oysters or anything like that, or whatever we could to get food.
Oh, you were hard out.
We were hard out, man. We had nothing.
Yeah.
There was months and months like that. That was tough work.
Yeah.
Took its toll.
Yeah, okay. So was that, do you remember it being hard, or do you just remember it just sort of being that's just what you did?
That's what what you did.
To get by, yeah.
It didn't
phase you.
It didn't phase us.
Yeah.
We weren't
thinking bigger picture, right?
No, yeah. We still had our mates come down from Whangarei and all that, and people would bring us food and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So we would get by. But I think what happened was we managed to do a festival or sort of such in Whakatane, and we got this through the agent. Our agent started getting us gigs and putting us on, around the Heartland area, the middle of North Island. We ended up in Whakatane, and we actually earned $100.
Whoa. So
Wally had taken us down Wally Tane, and so him and his son, who was Mac, was in. They went back. We'll bring the van back. We said, me and Willie, we'll bring the van back, and you guys go on ahead. So Willie, Mac, and Wally, and Greg Finlay, our drummer, all drove back, and we decided we'll take our girlfriends and go that way. So we went down to Ruape for the weekend and spent the money. That was the end of the band.
Yeah. Oh, really?
It sort of got to that head.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you have to give the van back?
Oh, yeah, we gave the van back. We got everything back.
Yeah.
Well, we loved having a great time. We had a great time,
of course.
That weekend, because we were out in an unfamiliar area. We wanted to go and explore.
Right.
But we
had you been that far down before?
Sort of, but not in a festival-y kind of mood, vibe, It was kind of a vibe, and we had our girlfriends with us, and we were just like, God, this is cool. Let's be hippies or whatever, whatever we were doing, whatever we had in our head. We must have, stayed at a motel and all that, and we finally went back to Auckland, with no money.
Yeah.
And bits and pieces. It was so hard. Like the vans that we got, the vans would blow a head gasket, and we have to find, $250. How are we going to do that to play it? This would happen on a weekly basis. Something goes wrong. The battery. We've got our, the cassette player or the radio. Literally, wired to the
right.
The 12 volt.
Gotcha. That's why you need a mechanic in the band.
Yeah, we need someone like you, mate.
Yeah. How was your musical inspiration starting to change? Inspiration is the right word I'm looking for? How was what were you starting to listen? How was your musical taste starting to change?
I think the areas that we were always playing, there wasn't much outside influence. Although I think because of my mother and things like that, I think I was really interested in soul music.
Okay,
it was already there.
It's already there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was always leading to something like that, no matter what style I sang. it didn't matter, what genre we were doing. It didn't matter. I already had a feeling how music sort of affected me. It was basically that.
Okay.
The groove, most definitely.
Yeah, I understand.
Big
part of that you would have just naturally picked up from those house parties.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Look, honestly.
Classic Kiwi story.
Oh, my God, yeah. I've still got a mental picture of me at the kitchen door and can't get in the house because the crowd is going from the kitchen through into the lounge and you can't get in, but all you can hear is this wailing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I see that gets you emotional when you think about that.
Certainly does.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the band split up.
Yeah. Sadly.
The band's gone.
Yeah. So yeah, nobody liked us, nobody liked me. No, actually what happened was, how it split up was Mac had gone because his father pulled him out because I wasn't looking after the money.
Yep.
I pilfered or whatever I did. It was the last straw. Yep. It was the last straw too because we weren't doing it. Wasn't paying. It wasn't. They were being realistic. We were still being airheads.
Gotcha.
We hadn't got what they were talking about. I didn't get what they were talking about.
Yep.
By that time, I'd sort of got a girlfriend that was looking after me.
Yep.
And so, but it was one morning at our house that Willie had left. Willie decided to leave as well. He decided I'm not going to carry on as well. So he left, and I think it came down to girlfriends, that kind of thing. Girls got in the way.
You're still 18 or?
Yeah,
19,
19, 19,
yeah, okay.
19, something like that, 19, 20.
Yep.
Girls got in the way.
Yep.
They started ruling.
Okay.
I think that's what it felt like. Something like that. Outside influences got in the way and sort of caused this raru.
Gotcha.
So one day we had a gig booked at the Auckland University Quadrangle, a lunchtime gig for an hour and a half or something like that while having lunch. And Willie that morning said, I'm not playing, finished, I'm out of here.
Didn't even play the gig?
No, he went. All I had was Greg on the drums, me, and ran into the agents. Our agents, what are we going to do? And sitting with the lady who was the secretary, Glenn Tapito, was a guy called Phantom, Bruce Robertson, who had sort of recently come over from Brisbane, and he was this hippie-looking guy with a mow and long hair and all that sort of stuff. And it was sort of like, one of those people that go, oh, he must be really cool, and you just go, oh, you're too shy to say anything.
Right.
We had to ask him if he would play, because he was a really good guitarist, we heard.
Right.
Would you play guitar? He said, yep, I'll play guitar. And then I got into the van and went down Dominion Road to a secondhand store and looked for a bass. I found a bass for $25. And then the three of us, me, Greg, and Bruce Robertson, went to do this gig, and we didn't know what we were going to do, so we jammed for about an hour. We just jammed, and I just made up stuff.
Right.
I played bass. Didn't know how to play bass, but then I did.
Yep.
And Greg played, and Bruce played amazing guitar, and we just sort of jammed. And next minute, there's these streams coming down from people, from the top of the buildings.
Yeah, cool.
Like everybody was digging it.
Yeah.
We were just making up stuff. It was amazing. And I ran into some MPs and people that were at university that year or that time. I've run into people since that were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
MPs, Māori,
Yeah.
Representatives. They were there. Isn't that amazing?
How funny. Not funny, haha, but...
No, just incredible.
Yeah.
This is like 40 years later, 30 years later, 35, 40 years later.
Right.
They come up to me at the airport and say, remember that gig you did at the thing?
We were there?
We were there.
Wow.
And we just bullshitted.
Yeah.
That's what we thought we were doing.
Yeah.
We're going, how on earth are you going to do this? So it was just based around, I guess, blues, or we sort of just got, I had this Jimi Hendrix vibe in my head, basically. It was like that. So we sort of just I think we just sort of drew it in.
Yeah.
And just created something like that. Our interpretation, eh? Mm. Yeah, that's what it would be like. That's what it was.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we're from there.
Well, so the band wasn't no longer.
Yep.
Tried to keep it together. So it came in, we tried different formats, you know. Got another couple of guys in. A guitarist, John Parker, and Mark Fitt, who came over here not long after and died on the Harbour Bridge. He played bass. I'll never forget him. He was just wonderful. He introduced me to Steely Dan when we were still, we were still trying to keep our band together, so that the agent still had bookings for us. So we had to sort of make up something.
Yep.
So I put a band together that just did that. It was just Greg and I, still Greg and I, and just these other two guys. So we still managed to do gigs. We did places. It was actually around that time that Mr. Asia business was going on, and should I say this? Mark Fitt used to be not involved with that, but. He used to have a lot of dope going around the place, and there used to be a lot of parties.
Right.
This one particular night after the Mont d'Azur, I decided I don't want to go there. I want to go home. Me and Pam, we were in the van, and I was also very glam at that time too. So I wore these caftans, and I was a little bit outrageous for New Zealand.
Yep.
You know, but it worked. It was sort of gimmicky, but I was just doing what I thought. You do.
Yep.
You'd be a performer.
Yep.
So that's what I used to do. So I decided not to go. So I was driving along Mont d'Azur, which is North Shore, going onto the bridge, and next minute all these cars stopped us and searched us, took us to the North Shore police station, and they had heard that I had a whole van full of dope. Well, it was the wrong Mark they were looking for, thank God.
Right.
It was the other guy who was having a wild party.
Right.
And I stayed in the prison in overnight.
Yeah.
While they were trying to extract information out of me, and I was completely unaware of it.
Really?
Yeah. See? That's what young and dumb means.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Funny, that sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not so much to do with the music. We just did the music. It was it's life.
Gotcha.
You know, it was just life.
Yeah.
In between that, the Mark Fitt, who I absolutely loved, aside from all of that, introduced me to Steely Dan. So that sort of became an influence.
You know what? Everyone has that person that introduced them to Steely Dan.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, I've got my guy. There's a guy in New Zealand that he introduced me to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He introduced Kenny Walker, his name is. He introduced me to Steely Dan.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I've never heard anything like it before.
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, yeah. So, that slowly died. But what was going on was that there was Lou, the guy who invited us as a band to join their agent. He was a journalist as well, so he used to always. It was really good having a journalist because you'd constantly be in the paper.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know, so you kept your name there.
You're relevant. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So he used to do a lot of little snippets and stories that featured, you know, us or me or something like that. And he put us on as a guest band. When we were the old band together, oh my God, I'm just going all over the place.
Yeah, that's okay.
But anyway, before the band split up, he put us together, got us a gig at Kensington Carpet Award, which was a big TV and music award, you know, in New Zealand.
Right.
And we did a stupid thing. We did a stupid song, you know, it was just ridiculous. We were just taking the piss out of Stupid Cupid, You're a Real Mean Guy. And we were all dressed in glam and we were being like sweet. It was really ugly.
Yeah.
But the TV producers loved it.
Yeah.
Next minute,
Yeah.
we're on TV.
Wow.
Next minute, we're on TV. And then next minute, when the band split up, this is all in like all of this, band changeover, people leaving, all happened within about 6 months.
Right.
It was a lot of things going on.
Mm.
But then next minute, they wanted me to go on the next year.
By yourself?
By myself.
Okay.
And that's how I became a solo artist.
Gotcha.
And it was through television. Mm. And I was on a weekly show. Only lasted about 6 weeks.
Yep.
It was replacing Come On and Happen In, all those really iconic shows.
Right.
It was called Free Ride, but it didn't actually catch.
Right.
But I did. But my persona caught on.
Your thing did.
Yeah, caught on.
My mum has memories of seeing you on the TV.
Right.
All the
Okay.
time. Yeah.
That was it. And next minute, I get a call from a record company. Could you come down to Wellington? Mm. And so that's when it all started.
Right. So what was the record company?
EMI.
That EMI, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come down there. So I flew me down, and then we talked, and I recorded some songs, that they put together.
Right.
Alan Galbraith, my producer, they put the thing together because at that particular time, like in Australia, solo artists basically did covers of songs from the big songs from all over the other side of the world. We didn't have a identity. We sort of did, but it wasn't strong enough, for solo artists. Bands were very, very original.
Yep.
But solo artists were considered sort of like variety artists, which is what I was actually part of. So,
okay.
I don't deny that. It was part of that cheesy world.
Right.
And I went through it.
Yep.
So yes, so but they weren't that bad because I had a bit of say. So the music that I wanted to do had at least the style I wanted to do. Right. With the song, with whatever song they came up with.
Okay.
Was in my court and somehow.
So was this the songs from your debut album, your first album?
Yeah.
Which was self-titled.
Yes.
Yep.
That's right. And they had this one song that was written by Vander and Young. Alan Galbraith had this one song, and it was like on a guitar, and it was an acoustic, and it was real garagey, like Vander and Young is. Like you think of Vander and Young in the rock and roll days.
Yep.
They were a rock and roll band.
Yep.
And so the song, yesterday was just the beginning of my life. It was like,
oh, really? Is that?
Yesterday was just the beginning of my life. If you're a friend of mine and think that I've never changed, but don't you worry, because I ain't nothing.
Wow, is that how it was?
And I hated it.
Yeah.
And he said, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. He talked me into it.
Yeah.
And I said, I think he got a vibe of what I was all about. So we got some Marys in. We changed the vibe to the kind of Philadelphia's kind of soul thing.
Yep.
And it was scary because it's like slowing right down, with a that sort of vibe.
Yep.
It's like you only see those at pubs, you don't see that happening on a radio.
Yep.
So we took the plunge. And we did it, and at the same time, Mike Harvey arranged it, an arranger, a wonderful keyboard player who had a band called Salty Dog at the time there, and he was an arranger. He arranged the strings, but at the same time, the first synthesizer arrived in Australia, in New Zealand.
Right.
The ARP.
Right.
And we had it.
Cool.
And so we added these sweeping sounds, synth sounds, to this song. Just transformed it.
It's a wonderful song. That bass line, it's...
Oh, Fritz.
That's,
oh, my God.
That's James Jamerson shit, man.
Yeah.
It really is. Like it's busy James type stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. That's Fritz, the guy who's playing that. And also another couple of songs that Give Me a Little Sign. It's got the same vibe.
Right.
It's got that walking vibe.
Yep.
It's just beautiful. Even now, when I just did that song not long ago.
Yep.
When I supported Boney M.
Yep.
So I did give me a little sign. And my bass player that I had, absolutely Stefano, he just lapped up the groove on the bass. And it makes a world of difference when that bass is moving. I just can't wait to hear Stefano play Yesterday Was Just the Beginning of My Life. Because I know he's right in there.
He's going to do that.
He's going to do that, yeah. It's just superb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about, because that was you released a couple of songs off that album first up, didn't you? And they didn't do...
Yeah, it was the year before, 74. I released, the first single was Celebration, which was a Deep Purple song. John Lord wrote it.
Right.
And no, it didn't. It introduced me. That's about it.
Okay.
You know, but and got me a guest seat to a music award.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't expecting those sort of things. See, I didn't know this world.
Yeah.
It wasn't
how would you know it? Right?
No way. So so that's the sort of thing. And it was just that one. That was the only song that was other song. Yesterday was the only other song that was released.
Right.
And the album did really well.
Yeah. And Yesterday, where did that end up charting?
Oh, it was number one.
It was number one?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It lasted a few weeks.
Right.
Yeah. I remember when I'd come out of the studio recording it. I was on this as a solo artist. I got picked up by the local brewery, the New Zealand brewery company, and I was just one of many acts that used to travel to every pub.
Yeah, right.
To spend a week.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I was one of those solo artists.
Right.
That used to travel and go for this town, play in that pub for a week, from Monday to Saturday, then travel on Sunday to the next, then rehearse the band, and then play that whole week. You know, I did like Bunny Walters. All of us did that sort of thing.
Right.
You know, all those fellas. And we did those things. And I remember I had a gig after we finished recording that song in Wellington. I had a gig up at the Sandown Park in Gisborne. And I just wanted to sing that song.
Yeah.
So I got up there and I rehearsed it with the band and everything like that. And I played that song that night. I announced I've just recorded this song, blah, blah, blah. No reaction. I was so hoa. No. But, you know, I now think about it, you know, who knows the song, you know?
Yeah,
how they're going to get it.
Yeah.
But I'd already... I knew what the song.
You had a feeling, eh?
Yeah, I was just so excited about the song. I just wanted people to hear it.
Yep.
Well, of course, the next time I went back to the Sandown, busloads of people came in just to hear that song. You know, right. So it was just a big difference. You know,
right?
But I was just a bit anxious.
Gotcha.
Come on, here's a neat song.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So then that song hits. Were you reckon you were prepared for what was coming?
No.
With these busloads of people turning up at gigs, did you have any idea that was? No
idea. No. I was still a country boy at heart.
Yeah, right.
Very much. I liked it, but I didn't like it in a sense. It was a bit daunting.
Right.
You know.
Did you feel? So was there like record company pressure then?
I didn't think about it.
Okay.
Honestly, it was probably to my detriment.
Right.
I didn't, I wasn't that savvy. I think sometimes I wish I was. You know, I was a bit more brutal. But nah.
No. It's all good.
Look, you know, something's happened.
Right.
It's come around again. And, you know, the people that still remember. So, you know, I mean, I'm preaching to not the converted this side of the Tasman.
Yep.
So I'm trying to say this is what I did.
Yep.
Because it's not something that you do.
Yep.
You know, they're going, who the hell cares what you did over there? You only, I listened to your one song and nah, you know. But I did a lot more than that. Yeah. You know, they're not going to listen. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's just that I get a chance to do this here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be brave, you know, say, tough tit. This is me, you know.
That's it.
Yeah. You can take it or leave it. But what I got to do is got to get some new songs. So, you know, I mean, it's that time. I've been writing and recording with Dragon for all this time. You know, I should get off my behind and do some stuff, my own,
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because you're a heck of a songwriter, so Harry Bruce tells me.
Oh, yeah, Harry. I love Harry.
So I interviewed Harry a while ago now, but and he was talking about, I'm just trying to catch the name of the band. Boy Rocking.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because you played in a band with, let's get to Australia first.
Okay. Yeah,
so let's not jump too far ahead and then come back. So your self-titled album's come out yesterday. Just the beginning of your life is a hit. Smash hit.
Yeah.
So what? You starting to get all these people.
Yeah. So the pressure. Yes.
You still on TV at this stage?
Yeah. Constantly.
Yep.
Yeah. So and then it's time for another album the following year, 76.
Yep.
To do that, I would just raise. What happened was I got an invitation from a Polish embassy to go and sing in Poland as well at a song festival. So EMI jumped on it, and so I managed to stay with EMI in London, and then I went across to Poland by myself and took part in this festival. Came back to London, then went across to LA. So in that time, I sort of searched for songs in LA.
Okay.
So because I was not writing or anything like that, it was still part of that. That mold.
Gotcha.
That you find songs, and people still do.
The pop star thing.
Yeah, the pop star thing.
Right.
And people do that.
Of course.
They don't all write their own songs. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So it's still done.
Yeah, of course.
If you look right down in the nitty gritty. So I went to LA and found some songs there. Listened, met up with people in Motown and Rondo music and all that. They arranged, because I have this, clout now in New Zealand.
Yep.
EMI arranged for me to have these meetings.
Right.
So I'd go through and they'd play me songs, and so I came back with a bunch of songs. A bunch of songs, and then that lasted me for the next 2 albums.
Okay, so when you say you came back with a bunch of songs, that you came back with demos to be able to record them at home with your people?
Yeah.
With your band, I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the first, sorry. So I jumped ahead. That was the last album. So that was 76. So at 76, I did go over there. I did go overseas and did have that opportunity to meet up with everybody, a lot of publishers and that. And at the same time, I did another album. And this time it was with most of the backing was with a band that EMI had signed as well. So they became my backing band. And so my second album I did basically with a band called Rocking Horse.
Okay.
And they played behind me.
So did they also tour with you? Were they a touring band?
Yes, we did tours together. Yep. We did stuff together. So we were a package.
Yeah, right.
It was a package. And so it had a bit more of a rock edge. It had a bit more of an LA edge kind of sort of thing. Just trying to think of the songs. But also Graham Central Station and People's stuck in there because I still loved soul. So, I added I Can't Stand the Rain in there and all those sorts of songs, But I was also loved Bowie, so I did one of his songs. Yep. So
you're saying that you loved Bowie, so that kind of, that light bulb goes on there with that. Is that where you kind of were inspired? Your look was inspired by that kind of.
I was actually. That's where that was a natural progression.
Right.
I was initially inspired when I was in high school by the '60s look, the Carnaby Street look of the '60s. That really knocked my socks off.
Right.
I used to draw it. In fact, the whole bedroom wall was this kind of drawings all over it that I made, this sort of like that kind of Carnaby Street vibe. I absolutely loved it. So this was natural progression, because I was inspired by that. As far as, quite apart from the music, I was inspired visually by the visuals. And so, yes, Bowie inspired me too. Allowed me, even though I didn't know I only saw pictures, so I didn't know.
You didn't know how he moves.
I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't because I'm glad I didn't because I move better.
Yeah, he was.
I've got more groove, damn. Because I've since seen it, and it don't move well.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
I got one up.
Oh, right.
You're gonna shake that ass.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So, okay.
So that was the second album. The third album, I went back to this LA-ish kind of thing.
Yep.
I found a songwriter, Tom Snow. He wrote a song called Taking It All in Stride. I got all these sort of things. And there's probably a song that I should have recorded, but it was too poppy for me. I wasn't I still did that. So I was still talked into adding these poppy things, but I wasn't really.
Yeah.
You're
not digging right into it.
No.
Yeah.
I did one for that album, and it went really well.
Yep.
But because there was a song on there I should have done, like what's it called? You. There's something very special about you. Marsha Hines recorded over here and a big hit. Without you. Yeah, gotcha. It's off that same album.
Okay.
But I took the lead song of it.
Yep.
Be taking it all in stride. I was singing the melodies. I wasn't singing the pop, and any of the songs that I did had more melody in it.
Gotcha.
But I did relent, and I did get talked into by my thing to do. It doesn't really matter anymore. Doesn't really matter anymore.
Yep. That's a Holly song, right? Buddy Holly, sorry.
He talked me into doing it because it was. He absolutely loved. My producer really loved Linda Ronstadt, and she did a really beautiful version of it, and he thought that's a good song. So this is how I did it. Mm-hmm. This is how we did it. At the time, You Make Me Feel Like Dancing was big.
Right.
You make me feel like dancing. So we took that feel and added that to Doesn't Really Matter Anymore.
Right.
Is that a secret I can give away?
Of course it is.
There you go. So that's what we did, and it went number one.
Right.
Yeah, and then we just played around with with this two drums here and dig out thing, and let's just do it like it's just with drums and vocals and that.
Yep.
Simple song, and we just sort of played around with it and gave it a Leo Sayer vibe.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's great. I've actually had Leo on the podcast.
I love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah. And we talked about. I was particularly interested in hearing the stories about the LA players that he had on his records. And he talked about, how Make Me Feel Like Dancing was made. And Jeff Porcaro had recorded some stuff on that album.
Right.
But the vibe wasn't quite right. But Steve Gadd was there. And Gadd came in and played that.
Oh, the lucky bugger.
Yeah.
God almighty.
Oh, poor bugger. Yeah. But it's just interesting. You said that you kind of took that vibe.
Yes.
And, of course, everybody does that. If you've got something sort of working, you make it work for you, right?
Yeah. So I was happy with that. Yeah. I was happy with the fact that they let me have a bit of creative input.
That's awesome.
Which was like the same thing with Yesterday Was Just the Beginning of My Life.
Yep.
So I was happy with that, and it did really well. I take my hat off to Alan Galbraith for knowing how to pick him.
Right.
Pick him for the market. The right market and all that, and it really worked, At the same time, though, I still had my roots firmly in, funk and soul and all that sort of thing. So the Aretha and the Millie Jackson and all that will eventually come out.
Yeah.
So I did record A House for Sale, and that was released as I left.
Right. Okay.
And that's one of my favorite songs. I just absolutely love it.
Yep.
I love the disco feel.
Yep.
I just love the storyline.
I saw that little video you did the other day.
It's just around the corner.
Yeah, when I was driving up the street, I was going. Anyway, check out Mark's social media. I'm not going to give it away.
Yeah, it was just
house
the other day. There's a house for
let's do some promo. Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, okay. You mentioned that was the last song. Before you left.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about why you left.
Oh yes. So I'd been through the country one too many times.
So what I mean by why you left New Zealand to come to Australia?
Yeah. I'd toured through too many times. One too many times.
Okay.
And I knew people would get sick of me. I knew I'd have the pressure. That pressure would slowly, what do you call it? Be a heavy weight.
Yeah, okay.
And how do I keep this up?
Okay.
What do I do to keep this up? Because we're still, once again, an isolated area in the world. We're still in that area. It's not a global thing yet. Mm-hmm. And I had to, I wanted to find more musicians, and I wanted to find something else. So sadly, over a month while I was touring, Pam, my partner, sold up everything, and then we left. Pretty much like that. At the same time, EMI had forgotten to renew my contract.
Forgotten?
Yes.
How does that happen? I suppose
you're just forgetty. You just forget.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, forgot to renew my contract. In the meantime, Alan Galbraith had an offer to go to CBS in Sydney and look after A&R. And he said, "Do you want to come over?" And I went, "Why not?" So I did. And that's basically why, how I went and why I went.
Yep.
Because I had to sort of expand somehow.
Yep.
And the one person that was close to Chaka Khan that I would love to sing with was Renee Geyer. And that's the other reason I came over here, because I wanted to find that.
Had you met Renee at that stage?
No,
okay.
No, not at all. Mm-hmm. Took a while too.
Yep.
And the way I did that was that I got to know Mark Punch, who wrote "Heading in the Right Direction" for her, and I knew that, and I knew those guys. I looked at the album cover and I said, "Those are the guys I need to meet to be able to meet her." Mm-hmm. And so that's basically how I slowly did it, to meet her and to sing with her. And I ended up working with her. Like it was my internship, I broke down all the barrier, all the everything I'd built up. I broke it all down.
Yep.
What a stupid idiot! But it wasn't. It wasn't. I did what I was doing. I loved what was happening.
Yep. So were you working, making money?
No. I came over here. I came over here for a contract.
Yep.
I did an album that seems to be lost. My current label my people are looking after my stuff. They don't. They said that one doesn't even exist, but it does. There is an album, and I did it in the 80s, and it didn't do anything. I came over here to a country, a music that I didn't.
You didn't understand.
I didn't understand.
Yeah, you told me that before.
Yeah. And the only person that was anywhere close to where I was Renee, to where I was. But I had to come here. I had to, expand. So so I sort of no, I didn't get much work. I eventually, it was that bad. If it wasn't for my partner, I don't know where I would have been.
Yep.
She was working part-time and all that sort of stuff. So it helped me a hell of a lot. But the day that I had to go to the CES was the day I decided I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
And I didn't even make it to the desk. I turned around in that queue and walked out. And I went straight to the Cross that night or the next night, and I walked into one of the clubs, and there was Mansell Room, and I heard this band playing funk, and I walked up to the guy who was singing, and I said, "Can I sing with you guys?" And it's kind of similar to that. Mm-hmm. I ended up over a period of time joining that band. So I would work the midnight to dawn shift, just doing, singing to the dregs, but it was a happening scene.
Yep.
It was happening. And so, that's where I spent a good part of the 80s, early 80s, singing in a band like that. And that's how I also met Mark Punch, finally. And we joined forces. We somehow we got on like a house on fire. And also we got together. We started playing together as a duo, and the duo went. He would come over to my place, and we'd start writing. Mm-hmm. And he'd wonderful writer, and it just inspired me. And we just keep on writing. And next minute we started doing these. We had enough to do a duo, so we used to just play guitar and go and do a wine bar and put some Elvis songs in there, but mainly do our own songs. And there was the digital revolution happening right at that particular time, when it was changing from analog to digital, and these syndrums turned up, and I started playing stand-up drums, syndrums, and he would play guitar, and we would be wild, and it would just go off.
Awesome.
And we were doing gigs like that.
Yeah.
I was playing the drums with the grooves, and he was playing guitar, and we were writing songs like that. Or he'd play drums, and I'd play keyboards,
right,
and we'd write another song like that. So we would just jam and jam and jam and jam till we came up with songs. And then the band expanded. Harry Bruce came in because he was like a motherfucker on that bass.
Yeah.
He used to break those strings.
Yeah.
And he'd add that to it. And then we had this magnificent percussionist who joined us. Oh, my God, Greg Sheehan. Oh, my God. When he joined the band, when he was in that band, it just transformed into, Middle Eastern music that's like really funky.
Yep.
That's what it felt like.
Right.
We had reached God.
Right.
We were starting to reach there. That's what it felt like.
Was he from Middle Eastern background?
No, he was an Ocker.
Okay.
But magnificent experimentalist. Sorry.
You're right. It's okay.
I'm playing with everything.
Yeah, it's okay.
As you noticed.
It's okay. It's all good, man.
It's Greg. Oh my God, he's still an inspiration. He lives up there in the Daintree or somewhere like that.
Right.
Up there in the forest, inspiring people and being creative artistically, as a percussionist.
Right.
There is no one better. And Harry, we were just a force. It was just a force. It was the boy rocking was just magnificent. We got some great. We managed to score a record deal for a minute.
Yep.
And then the whole climate changed towards U2 and U2-ish kind of bands. Oh, right. So Australia tends to follow whatever is big. It still does, Yep. So they have their versions of it.
And who were those versions?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, fair enough.
No, but we got dumped. Cool. We got dumped.
Okay.
The A&R guy got dumped because we weren't ideal for the company.
Oh, so it changed from a record company level.
Yeah.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got dumped, and because they got dumped, we got dumped.
Was it like?
And then this new one came in, and this new band.
Yeah.
Ah, right. And it followed the path.
Okay.
The path to corporate success.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit.
So we've still got some magnificent songs. I mean, we still, they're great. It was impossible for us working in the studio because there was two brothers, Mark and his brother. Really brilliant, but fucking fight.
Oh, really? Right.
About what to do. Creative differences.
Yeah.
And so, it took a long time to get a song finished. So I think that's another thing, another side of it,
Yeah.
So it went a bit too far.
Yeah.
But I've never found anybody else that inspires me to do what he did to me.
Right.
I still, work by myself, but I find it very hard. I was really inspired by that man, creatively.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to what I said earlier about what Harry said about you in the interview that we did. So,
sorry, I took you way off.
No, that's okay. No, I took you. Remember, I took off.
Oh, yeah.
And I brought us back.
Okay.
He said he's hoping that maybe you'll get back to do a serious original album because there was 3 songs that you wouldn't believe how incredible they were. You could even do them today and they'd sound amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know what those 3 songs are. You guys obviously know what they are. Get in touch with them. Yeah.
Yeah, look, there are.
He said, but he feels that some of the songs that you wrote originally were incredible.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Do you know who else was in that band? Was Murray Burns.
Okay.
From My Six.
Right.
He joined us for a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a really, inspiring group. It was whoever was around.
Yeah.
Whoever
was off the road. Right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Whoever Mark has got an amazing ability to know who's really good.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and I based it around that.
Okay.
You know, but yes, there's some songs that still. There's some songs that I write that are still in my head.
Right.
You know, and I pull out the old cassettes and I'm going,
You need to find someone, man. You need to sit down with someone.
I've tried, and you know, people have taken them away, added their thing loops to it, and it's come back and it's gone.
You don't like it. It's gone.
No, this is not what it is. I'm more organic.
Gotcha.
You know. Anyway, yes. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. That's inspired me to get my A into G.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'll remind you of it too.
Yeah, too. Thanks.
Good. Yep, no worries. All right. So, record company comes in and changes the guard.
Yep.
Right. How did you take that? Was that a bit of a kick in the ass? And
yeah, because at last minute
takes the wind out of the sails.
It did kind of. You know, it did kind of. That's all right. We probably weren't the right sort of thing. You know, it's about the songs.
Well, you're saying that now, but
it's about the songs. And if the songs didn't.
Yeah.
You know, connect
at the time. Yeah.
You know, it's what else can you do? So we kind of sort of accepted that. And we sort of fell apart after that.
Yeah, okay.
It kind of did. So it's like and I moved off, and I started to. I needed to work.
Yeah.
So I moved into other areas. Like moved into tried my hand at theatre, but like theatre cabaret. You know, not like tongue in cheek kind of stuff.
So not musical theatre, not
music. I did audition.
Okay.
I did audition, but I was doing sort of cabaret kind of stuff, where mainly the one main one was with Doug Parkinson. We were doing a review of Motown. It was really good songs, and the whole story. We were telling the story of Motown, and it was really quite successful. We managed to go to Western Australia, South Australia. We do it everywhere around the country. It was really good, put on by Graham Blundell. And it was at that particular time that I also people got wind of me being in that sort of area. Would I come and audition for Cats, the touring one? So that's quite early days of the touring party. So I got the part of Rum Tum Tugger. And at the same day, I also got a call from Ian Moss's management. Would I like to tour with them? So, of course, you know what I did.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's the Matchbox tour, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I said, thank you very much, theatre.
Yeah. Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So off I went for 15 months, 2 years, whatever it was. And at that very same time too, Vander and Young were looking for somebody to sing their songs. And so they came to see me at this cabaret theatre, and they talked to me, and apparently I was one of many that they were looking at, of solo artists that are around.
Yep.
So they gave me a bit of a bill, and I.
So let me just quickly jump back a little bit. So Vander and Young, they wrote Yesterday's Just the Beginning of My Life.
Yep.
Did you actually meet them at that time, or you just got the song?
Just got the song, yeah.
Right, and then obviously they know that you sang their song, and this is
a different style,
and this is how.
Yes,
they come to you.
That's how they came to me.
Gotcha.
They had the other guys. They had the other Aussie singers and that as well.
Understood.
But they came to watch me and asked me to come in and have a yarn with them and try some songs.
Yep.
And then I got to meet them, and I got to work with them. And then and that was the main song. That was a song that George had written that he needed. They knew it was a good one, and they wanted a voice for it.
Yep. And that song, Show No Mercy.
It was Show No Mercy, yeah.
Yep.
And and all those ad-libs and all those things that were just absolute ad-libs for me, even at the end when I went Mercy.
Yeah, because there's a little laugh in that. I was listening today. You go, Mercy, and with a little giggle. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
It was like Mercy. It was like I had enough. They had pushed me. They had pushed me so much that at the end of it, I went, Mercy.
Yeah. Awesome.
So it was that. And they kept it. They loved it.
It's good.
It was all of that sort of stuff. So they gave me, rights to that song, as well. So, so that's how it all happened. They just drove me. It was fantastic.
I
loved working with them.
Yep.
I was touring with Mossy on the Matchbook tour, and I'd come back on our days off and
to record.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was over a span of a year and a half or something like that.
Yep. So that's a completely different sort of animal to that music. You know, it's it seems like all the drums are electronic.
Yes.
It's all programmed.
It's
stuff.
all digital. Yeah.
Did you have any? Besides the vocal, you're doing your ad libs, and obviously, they want your voice, they want your phrasing, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Was there anything outside of that you were allowed to have any sort of input on? No, that was it.
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, they already had the concept in mind. They had their modus operandi, or MO. They had it already set up. And how they were doing it.
And this was to go with your look as well.
No, that was me.
That's all you.
Yeah,
right?
it was all me.
Gotcha.
But yes, they had it all set up. They were methodical. They clock in at 9 o'clock and clock out at 5 o'clock.
Gotcha.
It was like that. It's always
machine.
been like that.
It's a machine. Yeah.
And they come up with the goods, and it was fantastic. Because they're very talented.
Yep.
So I really loved that environment. Really loved doing that, and it did really well. The album, I got to tour around the country.
Yep.
Once I'd finished with Mossy, which was a great introduction for me. In fact, I'd had another introduction earlier on, to the Australian public, after struggling. When I sort of, from joining up with Renee, I got to meet other artists and other musicians, like Ricky Fatah, who was the drummer from Beach Boys, and people like that. And through that, I managed to wangle myself into Tim Finn's live band for the Too Much Friction tour.
Yep.
So I did that. So that was my introduction.
Yep.
I got to, they gave me the bridge of Dock of the Bay to sing in that tour.
Right.
So that got the audience going.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I got that, and it was through Renee and Ricky and that whole world. Then Jenny Morris, I worked with Jenny Morris and Sir Dave Dobbin.
Yep.
We worked on the Body and Soul album or the single, and I did a video with her on that, and then I did the tour with her, that Body and Soul tour around the country with her, and that led to Mossy.
Yes,
musical theatre. I had a lot of things going.
Yeah. While you're recording?
While I'm recording as well.
Right, okay, right. Gotcha.
Sorry, I just realised. Just layer upon layer upon layer.
It's good. You're a busy man.
It was.
Yeah. Okay, so when does Show No Mercy hit?
Apparently it didn't. It took a while to kick in.
Okay.
And I think it was a really good a good move by Sony, because they were releasing Albert's music.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good move for them to put it on as a song for the pre-match of the 1990 NRL final.
Ah, okay, that's where. Okay,
that was their maneuver. That was their maneuver. That it was idling around, and they put it onto that. And Farnsey was on there too.
Yep.
Johnny Farnham, I realised. But I went on, and the song from that moment on we just shot up. That performance. And funnily enough, I had to leave straight away after that performance, and it was like I didn't want to go because it was like, you're being hailed and everything like that. Oh, I love this. I could sit in the members box, but I couldn't.
Oh, you had to leave the stadium.
I had to go straight away, go to the airport and catch a flight down to a gig down in Sale, which is like in the Gippsland.
Yep.
And I just made it there, and I got introduced as Mark Richards.
Mark Richards. Damn.
Brought me down to earth really quickly.
Real quick, yeah.
Show me no mercy.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, so that was my reality check.
Yeah, right. So, I remember, I certainly remember when that song came out on the radio in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I was still there at that point.
Okay. Well, then Channel 9 picked it up too. They linked it to sports, Channel 9, and we did a really great, DJ did a really great 12-inch mix of it, really good, and Channel 9 did a whole collage of sports to that mix.
Right.
And it was just on TV rotation.
Right.
Every Saturday it was on, for a year, more than a year, Just went on and on.
Right. So the positive there for you is, you're getting that rotation.
Yeah.
And then the positive for the songwriters is they're getting the publishing for
yes.
Yes.
So
that's a win-win.
Yeah. Win-win.
Yeah.
But it also just aligned me with athletes and sports teams, women's sports team, every sports team, every gym. And even now, people still talk about the fact that they it really inspires them to, work out and all that sort of stuff. It still does to,
Inspirational song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got George Young and Harry Vander to thank for that.
Very good.
Yeah.
And so what other songs off that album?
So the second, it blitzed everything.
Yeah.
It was too big a song.
Right.
It was too big.
Okay. There's no second.
There was no second.
There's no second.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Tried to.
Did you think that, because I was listening to the album the last couple of days, there's some top songs on that.
Yes.
Really, really good songs.
Yeah.
And you could release them now and they'd
yeah, we released.
Work.
They went into the top 20 and then slowly lower. That's top 40, then top 50, top 100.
Okay,
but that's okay. Honestly, I'm still proud of that album.
Yep.
I still, even though I sold it.
Yeah, right.
I was the one that sold it.
Yeah, I understand.
I do that. I know how to do that. I've been doing it since I was 5 years old.
Yep.
When I got told to, get up there on the piano.
Yep. Yeah.
I was fair shitting and I was shy as hell, but I did it. It's nothing like jumping in.
So was there some touring that came?
Yeah. It lasted a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
And at the end of that touring, through to 92, 93 or 92 or something, there was time to do another album. They said, okay, you write. So I wrote. It took 6 weeks off and just tried to get back into writing and that sort of stuff. And they helped me. I supplied a lot of songs and they just filtered them out and added their songs to it and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And we came up with one that an album that was more a band than digital or
Gotcha.
just like loops and things like that. And then but it didn't have anything in it that once again that could blitz. It was blitzed by the previous song and the previous blah blah blah.
Right.
So unceremoniously in 1993, I went to lunch with the head of Albert's, and we had a great lunch. And we're just talking yak. Go back to the office, and they said, by the way, we're not picking up your option. And I said, oh, really? Okay. And she said, I'll never forget this. Let's face it, you won't have a voice in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I went.
Wonder what she's
to
doing
myself.
Now. Where is she now?
I said, yes, to myself, I went, you are effing kidding.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. That was 1993. And I'm still singing.
You're still singing.
No. Poor me.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that was their final. It was like a corporate job to them.
Yeah.
But it's my life.
Yeah. How hard did that knock you?
Didn't.
Oh, good on you.
No, I've never been knocked out by things like that because I never started like that.
Okay.
I didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say that, I wish I was brutal. Mm-hmm. I wish I was like that. Mm. But it didn't. I just got on with it. I always had faith that I would keep on going.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what came after that then? What did you do?
Well, my management slowly dwindled, but that's okay. And before that happened, they tried everything. They got me to, they tried to give me stuff, and even Albert tried to write songs that were like Show No Mercy, and I didn't want to know about that. I didn't want to recreate.
Yeah.
Try to recreate something. Move on. So I've had to move on and try and find new stuff, so that's okay. What did I do? So what did I do? After that sort of dwindled in the mid-90s, I knew something would happen. And thankfully, things did happen that took me into other fields. I went into I actually did, like a couple of years later, I got invited by the City Dance Company to take part to be a guest singer in a ballet. And that was to be played at the Sydney Opera House and Melbourne and Adelaide and Perth. Yep. And Brisbane, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, so I did that. It was quite rude, quite risque. It was called Fornicon. Mm-hmm. I wrote songs for it. I wrote some songs for it too. And I got to dance. I'm not a dancer. I'm not a trained dancer, and I had to use a lot of Nurofen because I was in a lot of pain. My bones were crunching together. After I thought I could do this stuff, I went to the gym for 6 months. I went from scrawny to moderately, sparrows. And then on top of that, I had to sort of do dancing. But at least I had a natural rhythm.
Right.
And I got to do a pas de deux with the artistic director, who was one of the main characters. Mm-hmm. So we did one around a prison bed, So I did a lot of movement. It was fantastic. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I got to write songs and sing in it. Mm. And from there, I just did a series of those sort of things. Eventually, my management gave me a call one morning and said, "Quick, get yourself over to somewhere in Newtown. They're filming the start of a show called Pop Stars, and they want a coach." And we said, "You're it."
Right.
So. 12 o'clock, I turned up and I became a coach. Had very little experience.
Yeah.
But I managed to kind of work it out real fast and do something that was good enough for the camera.
Right.
And so I was the coach for Pop Stars.
Right. And this was the season with Bardo, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That was season with Bardo. And then I did the one the following year.
Yep.
Then I did the live. There was a live one, and that one, a live one. That's when they introduced reality. That they introduced public able to vote.
Right.
I was part of that.
Right.
Yeah, and the guy that won, I do see him every now and then, but I got him to sing "When I Need You" by what's his face.
By Leo Sayer.
Leo Sayer.
Yeah.
I got him to sing that one, and it was absolutely beautiful. Me on this beautiful grand piano and him singing it, and it was so gorgeous.
Awesome.
And I praised Leo Sayer on that. So I did that, and then I did a stint. Edna Clark took over. She did the Australian Idol. That sort of Pop Stars developed into that. She took over that, then X Factor and all that, and then I came back into The Voice. I was the first consultant when The Voice was first started off.
In the first season?
The first season, yeah.
Okay.
But I couldn't stay on because I'd joined a band. I'd done the full circle and I'd finally gone back to a band.
Okay.
And I was really more happy to do that.
Okay.
And not make that much money again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So start off again.
So let's talk about that. So you're the singer for Dragon.
Yep.
For people that don't know who Dragon is, where the fuck you been? Whatever. Okay, so tell me how that gig came about, because the original singer for Dragon, Mark Hunter, and he died in 98.
98. Yep.
98.
Yeah.
You joined the band mid 2000s, right?
Yep. 2005. At the end of 2005.
Yep.
2005.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that a long time had passed.
How did that come about, and how did your name come up?
Perhaps this is the way it happened. I, in that interim, from the time of Mark's death and the time the band started up again, is a long time, and Dragon music wasn't being played.
Yeah, okay.
You'd never heard it.
Yeah, right.
It was through Alan Mansfield and Sharon O'Neill, who were really close to Dragon. They were part of Dragon Sharon would write for him, Alan would write and produce, and they were just magnificent. And when he passed away, Sharon gave me a call and said, "Would you sing at the memorial?"
Okay.
Sing "Are You Old Enough?" Which I did at the St Andrew's Cathedral or whatever by the town hall in town, and I did that, and it got covered worldwide. It was that picture was sent around because I was getting people from all over the place saying, "We just saw a picture of you, singing at the memorial," and it was really stirring, and it was just the way that the way that it was performed that meant a lot to that particular event. And then, funnily enough, I was walking back to the car park, to my car, and somebody yelled out as I was walking there, "You should be part of Dragon. You should have been part of Dragon." I was like, "Yeah, right on. Yeah, okay.
Flip it off.
Yeah, flip it off, yeah." So that was like 98, or yes, 98, around that time. And then out of the blue, I get a call, out of the blue, literally, end of 2005. And this is Todd Hunter. "Would you like to join a rock and roll band? Earn $10,000 a gig." Bullshit. I went, "Well, yeah, I would." And I said, "Okay, that's how it happened."
That's it. And is that how he said it? "Would you like to join a rock and roll band?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And then 2 weeks later, I got sent these songs I didn't even know.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know their repertoire. I knew a couple of songs I really loved.
Yep.
The songs I really loved were "Speak No Evil," really loved. "O Zambezi," I really loved.
Yeah.
And the other ones I knew. The other ones I already knew. The main ones. But those are the two that I really love.
Yep.
That's all I knew. I didn't know any of the others. Then when I'm going through the repertoire, I'm going, like you sent it. Then I went, "My God, he sings." They wrote, what is it called? The one for Johnny Farnham, "Age of Reason."
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Todd and Joanna wrote it.
Right.
And I used to do demos for them.
Right.
When they were writing seriously.
Right.
They used to call me up, and I used to go over, a couple $100 and record their demos for them.
Yep.
And that's where they got them. That's a beautiful song. When I realized that, I went, "Yes,
yeah.
I want to join this band."
Yeah.
Just to sing that song.
Just to sing the song, yeah.
Yeah. And then I can say with pride, "It's the Dragon song." Yeah, so basically, but I didn't know anything else.
Right.
And then 2 weeks later, there we were sitting in TAFE with the guitarist Bruce Reed,
yep.
who works at TAFE, and he got room there for us to practice in, and so he was already doing it on the budget,
right? Right.
But it was just like he sort of thought about it and wanted to get back to playing again.
Yep.
And it was about time because, as I said, you didn't hear Dragon for quite a few years. The moment we started playing, you started hearing it. The year after, we started sort of slowly moving in. There was a lot of backlash,
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to ask you too. You hear stories of situations similar to yours where you're going in to replace, well, maybe not replace, but
yeah. Oh,
you know what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I expected, but you know what? Didn't even phase.
Good stuff.
It didn't phase me because I knew inside Todd had asked me.
Yeah.
I didn't go pleading, "Can I have a gig with you?" Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I got asked. I got invited. So so whatever punters and diehards have ever said, and they literally Adelaide, they're standing there, all of them in front of Todd and nobody in front of us.
Yeah, okay. Right. Gotcha.
And we're just looking over going, "What the fuck? What the fuck's wrong with you?"
Right.
what we're doing is singing a songbook. This is a songbook of really good songs.
Yeah, so just close your eyes, enjoy the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other side of the coin is people forgot these songs and what it meant to them. Yeah. And the look of dismay on the punters' faces when we sing a song that they go, oh, I forgot about this one, like Dreams of Ordinary Men. That one got such a reaction. People going, oh, my God.
Yeah.
This song, I love this song. They forgot that Dragon put this out, that they had all these songs. So it was going on for a long time. And even now, people, the same sort of thing. Oh, my God, I love this song. That's the reaction that happens. It's such a deep love for the band or for the music.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing. We're keeping that music alive, and we do it in our own style. We don't do it as it was. We broke it down and became acoustic, and then it developed from there. When it was just acoustic, it developed, and now it is what it is now.
I remember during COVID, you guys were isolated in a hotel room.
Yeah,
and you put on a live.
Yes.
A live thing.
That's right, yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's how it has developed, Yep. So it's become second nature to us now. Those songs, basically they're our songs, we are Dragon.
Yep.
It is Dragon because it really is. The soul of it is Dragon.
Yep.
And the fact that Todd's there. But even if Todd wasn't there, there is a something that's actually been born again.
Yep.
And it's really worked. Because of our dedication to it, I think.
Gotcha.
We wanted it, we committed to ourselves to it. So it'll always be the four of us, Even though if we have others come in, and replace, if somebody gets sick. But they've tried to get somebody in when I've been crook, which is very rarely.
Yep.
But they've kicked up such a stink. The drummers kicked up such a stink.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, we've tried when Todd Todd couldn't do the gigs initially when he was having an operation or something like that. I kicked up a stink. I got just furious and ended up arguing with the other three guys, just like having furious, arguments not to each other as we're driving through the desert, to the next gig. Seriously wild with each other.
You're missing your spiritual leader, perhaps.
Well, absolutely. It was. That's what actually happened.
Yep.
We're a bit more used to it now that we can actually handle it, but we still don't. Right. I still get antsy if it's not us four. I really do. I really do. I don't like it being anything else. I don't mind others joining us.
Yep.
But I always want it to be the core.
Yep.
It has to be this four.
So was Pete playing drums when you joined?
Yeah.
He was. Yeah. Okay.
He was brought in. Somehow Todd had met up with through a sound man that was working with Todd. John, who now works for Panasonic, he installs the sound for all the Olympic Games around the world.
Poor bugger.
Poor bastard. And he left us, and I'll never forgive him.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another question. That's another story. But yes, it was him that knew Bruce Reed, the guitarist, Canadian, who came out here to work with Wendy Matthews. And John, and both Bruce and John worked with Wendy. And it was through that, his connection to Todd, to tell him about Bruce. Bruce had been working with Wendy with Pete. Mm-hmm. And somehow my name came up with Todd, remembering that memorial. Yep. Something like that. Yep. Could have been something, I don't know how, but that my name was bandied around. Mm-hmm. And then I got a call.
Very good.
And then we started, and we haven't stopped, and we don't intend to stop. This is the lineup till death do us part. Yep. Yeah.
But you're having a bit of a break now, which we.
Oh yeah, it is. We're just sort of yes. We've done the hard yards. We've done many years of the hard yards. Yeah. We know each other inside out on stage, and off stage, and I think we're just a little bit more selective now to what we do, which is perfect. We get to go home to New Zealand and do a gig, every couple of years or every year. Get to do something back there.
Yep.
That's the connection of me. That's that connection, and of course with Dragon. They're actually funny enough. Boys, the Hunter brothers come from Taumarunui. I come from Dargaville, but my maternal side is from Taumarunui.
Okay.
We're from Manaiti, which is a little marae, just 12 k's towards the mountain. So we are, unbeknownst, and it's no family connection because they're Pākehā and Fijian, and we're Māori and Scottish. So there's no connection like that. But it's funny that we are from the same kind of locality, feeling, whānau, something like that, It says a lot.
There's a link there.
There's a strong link, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about your that whole full circle thing. Here we are now. You've got
kind of saying circle and a half.
Yeah. You've got your gig coming up in towards the end of November.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about that. So have you got yourself a band?
I have, it was the band that made up mostly of the band that I found, or that was put together for me to support Boney M.
Yep.
And that's how I sort of found it. In fact, the band that I had before when I was doing that Show No Mercy tour, the drummer from Ian Moss ended up being my drummer as well. So I think I'm a bit spoiled. I got to play with some people that I thought that really connected with. So it's a couple of them. They're more from the country area, countryside of things, but with a real good feel about them. So I'd say being from a country influencing, they're good with melody. And so they play melodically, and that's what I really like. Bradley Christmas is his name, the keyboard player. Bradley Christmas, and he's an author.
Right.
Yes. He's written a book that's done really well. I just can't think of it. Salty Boy, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bradley Christmas. Check him out.
Christmas, like Christmas.
Like Christmas, yeah. I always swore that I'd ask him how he got that name. And
it's spelt
Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah. Bradley Christmas. Bradley, I call him. And Stefano Constantino.
That's your bass player, right?
My bass player, yeah. And he's he plays fat ass bass.
Yep.
I've got this young guy who plays sax and trumpet and bass and guitar, but he's playing guitar.
Yep.
Young guy is 23. Christian Foyle from Melbourne. And who else is there? Oh, and Warren Trout.
Nice.
He's playing drums. I'm so looking forward to hearing him play with him. And my daughter, she's going to be doing. So I think most of them sing vocals, but she's just there to add, that top line or that texture to the whole thing. Yeah, so it's I'm looking forward to it. We've got a couple of days rehearsal, and then we're into it. See how we go.
So are you covering your whole sort of range of? Yeah,
it's a lot of songs. I would love to have done a lot more, but this is sort of 50 years, and I'll do probably some of the main ones from a couple of the albums.
Of course.
I wanted to include a lot of the Vander and Young one because I really like where that went, and I'd love to develop that and move forward with that.
Yep.
But it was more. This is more celebration of 50 from the roots to now.
Gotcha.
And it also includes so it's got some of my songs and some songs that I like, and also tributes to people that I've worked with, Margaret Ehrlich, Sharon O'Neill, Jenny Morris. So it's got my daughter's going to sing sort of stuff to do with that. I want to do a Renee Gayer song. I want to add those people that I've touched me. And I've had the chance to collaborate with, and learn from. I haven't even added any boy rocking yet, but these are it's quite rich, but I've sort of got to just establish myself first.
I understand.
With something that they probably do know and will know, so it's basically more like that. A couple of Dragon songs.
Something to build on from there.
Yeah, something to build on so that I can kick the ball forward.
Yeah. That's really cool.
So that's how it's starting. So it's and also too, I love reggae too. So I eventually, I want to move down that path just for a bit of a play.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still moving ahead.
Yeah.
So I did start out as that cheesy solo artist that, but I knew that back then I knew the lifespan of that being something like that. That's why I had to leave and keep on going.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. Well, in a way that I am smart.
Yeah.
You don't have to be brutal.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but did you used to make your own clothes?
Yep.
You did?
Yep.
I rang my mum and dad on the way here.
All right.
Because I thought I heard it from them years and years ago that you would make your own clothes.
Yeah.
And then just before I got here, my mum sent me a text saying she just Googled it and saying that, yes, you did make your own clothes. So.
I've sent one of my outfits that back to the Dargaville Museum.
Really?
It's going up there. Yeah. I don't think they're probably able to, display it. I think I sent them the wrong one. I need one that sort of can stand on its own.
Okay.
And I've sent them as flouncy one that, But anyway, yes. Yes, I used to. I don't have time for it now. I've got life is too full.
Sure. So did you used to make your own clothes because you couldn't find what you wanted to express?
What I
wanted.
wanted.
You did it yourself?
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Yep.
I couldn't. Yeah. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah. Right.
But then no, I had to. That's the reason why I made these things. I used to go searching for fabrics.
Okay.
I used to go to the most expensive places in Queen Street.
Right.
And then also the uliulis, to look for, old stuff. But yes, I used to create them all.
And you taught yourself to sew?
I taught myself to sew.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I can draft. I can do all that sort of stuff.
You used to draw all over the wall, didn't you?
I know. Yeah. I used to draw, figures and in their flouncy Carnaby Street bloody paraphernalia and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
And they were big drawings too.
Yep.
I was so into that. So I remember the very first pants I made. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that there was such a thing as a crutch. So I just... So you know what I did?
You didn't move around too much that night, eh?
And also, because the flower power had just come in and the girls at school were wearing witches' breeches. It was all of that sort of stuff just below the gyms.
Yep.
It was like, well, that sort of all that sort of shit.
Yep.
And flower power and all that sort of stuff. And everybody was wearing flowers. So I learned how to not crochet, but embroider big flowers on this calico stuff. And then I make some pants out of those, some flared pants.
Yeah.
But I didn't put any crotch. After all that work, and I couldn't pull it up.
Oh, man.
I was so upset. I didn't know what the problem was.
So what did you do?
Well, I had to
leave them at home.
Leave me.
Bugger.
It's little stupid things like that.
Yeah.
No, I used to make. Yeah. Then I worked out what you have to do.
Yeah.
And my partner, she got a Husqvarna for her birthday, 21st birthday, and she immediately broke it the first use.
Right.
And said, "You're never touching that again." So I took over.
Right. Very good. Yeah.
So I did.
Right.
Yeah. Visual is so important as the oral.
Yeah.
The whole thing is really important.
It's the show, right?
Yeah. I wish I was. I'm not as much now, but I probably, in a sense, I am, because I use a lot of energy, and I've never ever backed off from that.
Yeah.
So if it's not visual as far as clothes and things like that, at least it's visual as far as movement or whatever. Something like that. I don't know. In a place like the Bridge, you can't be too energetic because you hit your head on the roof and
true.
Yeah, and I'm getting too old anyway.
True story. True story.
Yeah.
All right, Mark Williams. Thanks so much for chatting with me, man. Thanks for having me in your house. It's been a real honour for me to meet you and sit down and chat about you. And like I said, I've known who you are since I was a wee tacker, man. So it feels cool to sit here and
funny
chat.
That.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Stevie.
No worries.
I really enjoyed this.
Sweet as. Yeah. All right, bro. Catch ya.
Cheers.
See ya.
Yo, it's Stevie here. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you dig the Gig Life podcast, please subscribe, share, leave a review. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok. You can send me a message if you have an idea for a guest or if you just want to say hello. This podcast is free, costs you nothing. But if you find the value in the Gig Life podcast, you can leave a tip or a donation. Links are in the show notes on your app. That's it for me for now. Catch you next time, guys. Cheers.